Good day to you, Dr. McQueen, and to anyone else who will be viewing this video. I, along with my three other group members, have chosen to explore the German and Nama Herero War of 1904 to 1908 and the subsequent genocide which resulted from that interaction. My specific subtopic is to apply the environmental approach to this topic and focus on how the unique Namibian landscape influenced not only the development of the Nama and the Herero as an indigenous group, but also their relationship with the German settlers. Namibia is a very unique environment consisting mostly of a semi-arid expanse, and this played a huge role in the dynamics between the settlers and the indigenous people. The reason why I have chosen this topic and the subsequent approach along with my group members is because there is a huge opening for research into the history of Namibia and the different influences on the relationship between the settlers and the indigenous people. There is also a certain sense of it being close to home as a African, or should we say Southern African state with a similar history to South Africa, but giving us more area to work with in terms of the availability of research and filling in those gaps within the research. There is a considerable amount of research available on the environmental influences of Namibia's landscape on its populations. However, there stands a lot of empty spaces and gaps which we will have the pleasure of filling in, such as the influence of the availability of water and how this basically played a role in the conflict between land control between indigenous people and German settlers. So, in order to answer the question of the history of Namibia and the parameters of the environmental influence, specific focus will be given to the geography of the region, along with the lifestyle of the indigenous people which inhabited the area and their mode of survival. The European expansion in the region must be examined with specific focus on the disruption of the local people's way of life, both environmentally and culturally. The final focus point will involve the discussion of the link between land, water, and power as it applies to the exploitative relationship between European settlers and the indigenous people. With Namibia being semi-arid, water plays a very vital role not only in battle and conflict, but also in holistic living. We will focus on how this specific resource is a high area of focus for German settlers and the rationale behind the genocide and its link to the control of land and the perceived lack of resources. The majority of my research happens to be secondary journal articles, which focus on applying the environmental approach to the German Nama Herero War and the subsequent genocide. Of these, the most significant of my sources is by Lehmann PN, called Between Waterberg and Sandfeld, an environmental perspective on the German Herero War of 1904. I must also stress that the availability of sources which apply the environmental approach to the Nama Herero War were highly difficult. However, this gave huge opportunity for me to fill in some spaces on this research. Thank you.